Good morning everyone and good morning Sir Vishnu, my lecturer. In this video, our group want to give our insights about cultural tourism, but we want to elaborate it with a twist. We will be divided in two groups, the pro and the contra. The pro will be explain their opinions about the advantages of cultural tourism, and the contra will explain their opinions about the disadvantages of cultural tourism. We hope from our video we can learn more and open our mind about the cultural tourism. Without any further ado, let's get into the first explanatory.
Okay, in this occasion, I will give an argument about the statements of cultural tourism. The first statement is cultural tourism has a positive economic and social impact. I agree with that statement. The economic impacts of cultural tourism can be caused by the incomes created by the cultural tourism business and supporting businesses. Cultural tourism creates new jobs, businesses, events, and attractions, thus helping diversify the local economy. Cultural tourism also supports small businesses and enables them to expand, promotes the active preservation and protection of important local resources, builds vital relationships among and within local communities, and then helps encourage the development and maintenance of new or exciting community amenities. The social impact of cultural tourism is that cultural tourism can promote preservation of local traditions, customs, and culture. UNESCO now recognizes intangible cultural heritage as being as important as buildings. So, cultural heritage is one of the important things that needs to be preserved. Cultural tourism is becoming a market for culture and heritage tourism experiences. So, traditional projects can be provides the economic support for keeping these skills and traditions alive. Cultural tourism also promotes positive behavior of local people, helps improve the community's image and pride, promotes community beautification, and then the last but not least is creates enjoyable opportunities for both local residents and visitors attracted to the cultural arts, history, and preservation. The second statement is cultural tourism helps to establish and reinforce an identity. I also agree with that statement. Culture and heritage features are essentials in building a country's image. Thus, cultural tourism can be the key instruments in developing a positive image of a country internationally. Cultural tourism also helps preserve the cultural and historical heritage. Tourism interest in the heritage site can be the key in providing political support for the management and protection of the heritage in question. Well-managed cultural tourism can encourage the revival of traditions and the restoration of sites and monuments, and brings extra income to culture and is thus a very important supporting factor for culture itself. Cultural tourism is also more in line with modern trends and is thus likely to see a further increase within the tourism sector and boost awareness of the tourist site, attraction, or area's significance. Okay, that is all of my argument about cultural tourism. Thank you.
Third benefit of cultural tourism is the positive externalities on local infrastructures and living environment, making them better. This is because of the development process of the tourist spot itself. It creates massive values for the local citizen in various forms, from electricity, water supplies, accesses, or even land presses. For instance, the government can rebuild the highway roads leading to a particular destination spots. Obviously, the user of the road aren't only tourists, right? The local would also gain benefit by being able to use them too. Consequently, it provides them with better infrastructure. The last but not least about my pro statement is introducing cultural tourism to wider scale. For my opinion, the number of tourists, whether from the international or local tourists, there must be a lot of people can relate it to tourism culture. It is something that must be maintained. There is a determination to introduce tourist destination in all directions. It has a very positive impact because it is the same like we were sharing insight and learning related ways to protect cultural sustainability destination every place. For example, like the kecak dance, which is known as a traditional dance from the city of Bali, which their performance being something that everyone's want to watch. So from the tourists, especially international tourists, look forward to. So we have indirectly spread the information about cultural tourism that we have. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, servicemen and friends. In these occasions, I will explain the argument about the disadvantage of cultural tourism. As for we know, cultural tourism has been one of the famous type of tourism in this era. We could see many advantages that comes from this type of tourism, especially for the local people and the educational section. We can't deny if there is the positive side, then there will be the negative side of this too. So first, we would let the audience know that we have seen so many advantages of cultural tourism without knowing the side effect that has been impact or will be impact the element of cultural tourism. Our question is, have you thought about the internal aspect from the local side? That in order to promote their culture, they have to build or rearrange the culture and the traditions in order to get a more special and interesting activities to show. This is one of the biggest threats that will come for the local culture. The second is, when a cultural tourism gaining more interest from the tourists, it means that the local region have to be ready to experiencing the effects of the globalizations from around the world. We could say it's only a matter of the time when a cultural region, especially the traditional rural area, adopt the way of thinking from the metropolis people and affect the mental of the local people. They will not satisfied with their current situations and want to change it to a luxurious life by gaining more money as much as they can in the tourism field. It can also leading them to unstable local economic. Unstable local economic of the people could increase the social gap between the survivor and the failure one. It can also vanishing the local people joy as a result. A real example that we took is from Canggu Tourism Village, where the local people slowly leave the agricultural sections to gain more money from selling and renting their land for tourism activities. The third are, we do believe that aside from the mental and economic sections, it could impact the environmental side too. The environmental destructions may not be repeatedly affected, but it slowly could be a serious problem if there is no strict regulations and sustainability for cultural tourism. We believe that cultural tourism can contribute as the negative impact for the environment by increasing pollution and decreasing the natural area and animal habitat as the result of the excessive constructions that built upon the local region. This act led a decrease of inland area and increased the businesses who have a poor system of waste management as the result of what happened to Canggu Tourism Village in Bali. Our side believes that cultural tourism resulting many negative impacts for cultural tourism, both mass and nature tourism like cultural heritage or even a tourism village. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, service. No, on this question, I will add an argument against the disadvantage of culture tourism. 4. The impact of social change. It is change in the way people act or behave. Unfortunately, there are many changes that occur as a result of unwanted tourism. There are many examples around the world where local population have changed due to tourism. Maybe they have changed the way they talk or the way they dress.
Maybe they have been introduced to alcohol through the tourism industry. Fifth, in the class of culture. Our course sign, tourism involves the movement of people to different geographic location, cultural, language, level of affluence, socio-cultural values held by the local community will actually lead to rejection. In more severe cases, it can trigger public anger and even lead to physical violation. Sixth, increased crime and moral behavior. With the presence of many foreign tourism who come, it has a bad impact on moral behavior and increased crime. For example, smuggling narcotica and finally trading their narcotica to local residents and resulting in larger number of drug addicts. Then, what if there is trembling of sharp weapon? It can have a bad and dangerous impact on the community, local resident, because it can hurt local residents who don't know anything. We believe that cultural tourism has a lot of negative impact on cultural tourism, both mass tourism and natural tourism, such as natural heritage of even tourism village. That's all from me. Thank you, sir.
From all the statements our group have elaborated, now I want to give the conclusions. First, from the pro group. Cultural tourism has a positive economic and social impact because cultural tourism creates new jobs, businesses, and helping diversify the local economy. And cultural tourism is become a market of culture and heritage tourism experiences. So traditional projects can give an economic support that will be used for keeping these skills and traditions alive. Next, cultural tourism helps to establish and reinforce an identity. It's essential because culture and the heritage we have can represent us as a country or even become a uniqueness. And also, a well-managed cultural tourism can uplift the revival of traditions and the restoration of sites and monuments and can bring extra income and support the culture itself. Next, cultural tourism is giving a positive impact in local infrastructures and living environment. Because of the enhancement in cultural sites and to build a better experience for tourists, then there is a development going through. For example, like the highway will be neater or there will be more street lights and many more. So this will give a positive effect to the local people that lived near the cultural site. And last, introducing cultural tourism to wider scale because it's like sharing new information and people can learn from it. And same with cultural tourism. We share new culture or heritage site to other country and tourists come to see and learn from our culture. Moving on to the contra group. First, from the internal aspect. In order to promote the cultural side, basically the local people have to rearrange the culture or traditions in order to be more attractive. This can be a little overwhelming and can actually change the origin culture. Next, from gaining more interest from tourists, this can affect the local people to the globalization. This can affect how the local people think and even live their true culture. For example, the way they speak, the way they wear their clothes, and many more. Next, cultural tourism can also affect the environment. Many tourists want to visit the cultural sites, but not all tourists are irresponsible tourists. Some of them don't care and can take a good care of the site. So there is many cultural sites that are dirty and even people willing to do some crime by stealing some of the cultural relics. Also, the increase of pollution, the decrease of natural area, and the animal habitat. Based on that, we can see that cultural tourism have both the negative and positive effect. As we see, cultural tourism can give us many insights about other culture, increase the economy, represent our country, and keeping the culture alive from generation to generation. But we can't forget that if we can't be wise while doing cultural tourism, we can get the negative effect. Well, we can't control all the negative effect, but at least we can prevent some of them. And we as the next generation must learn to appreciate our own culture and try to keep them alive for the next generation. When we work in cultural site management, work wise and protect our cultural site. Be firm if there is a tourist that can't appreciate our culture, and don't be afraid to show our culture as it meant to be. And last but not least, be proud of our own culture because we are the one that represent our culture to the world. That's all from our group discussion. Sorry if there is some wrong pronunciations. Thank you and have a great day.